In today's hyper-competitive culture, you are constantly conditioned to believe that whoever speaks loudest wins. We are drowning in non-stop corporate jargon, aggressive self-promotion, and the exhausting pressure to always have the last word. But look at the brutal reality. Your desperate need to talk is not power, it is emotional bankruptcy. Every time you react instantly to a toxic coworker or flash your achievements at a networking event, you are exposing your fragile ego and bleeding true authority. Stoicism offers a ruthless correction through reason and sheer emotional dominance. True strength is not the loudest voice in the room, it is the cold, calculated ability to remain absolutely silent, while the chaos around you burns itself out. A Stoic once likened genuine emotional control to a high-security vault. Do not unlock your mind for cheap, fleeting validation. Stop letting impulsive words erode your professional stature. You are not lonely or isolated because you lack a voice. You are silent, solely because you refuse to lower your psychological standards for people who only offer superficial, draining noise. Master your tongue or be mastered by it. Before you can weaponize this stillness against the world, we must first examine how to deploy total silence in the face of empty boasts. Rule number 1. In the face of empty boasts, imagine yourself in a high-stakes environment, a corporate boardroom, an exclusive networking event, or even a casual dinner. Suddenly, someone across the table begins to aggressively broadcast their achievements. They flaunt their recent promotions, their luxury acquisitions, or their so-called elite lifestyle. The natural, ego-driven response in today's culture is to immediately counterattack. You feel the burning urge to list your own accolades, to prove you are equally successful. Kill that urge instantly. Stoicism brutally exposes the truth behind this behavior. The constant, desperate need to boast is nothing more than a pathetic cry for external validation. Those who loudly broadcast their value are often terrified they have none. When you choose absolute silence in the face of this aggressive flexing, you do not look intimidated. You look completely unreachable. You let their hollow words hang in the dead air, turning their performance into an awkward monologue that exposes their deepest insecurities. Stoic once likened true confidence to a massive, unmovable mountain. Do not let the frantic winds of another person's fragile ego erode your profound stillness. By offering nothing but a cold, unbroken stare or an indifferent nod, you fiercely protect your mental energy. You signal to the room that your self-worth is not up for debate or public comparison. Your character and your quiet competence are your undeniable resume. You are not backing down because you lack achievements. You remain completely silent solely because you refuse to lower your intellect to participate in a pathetic beggar's game for cheap applause. Let their own noise become their psychological prison. Once you have neutralized the toxic vanity of others, you must learn to weaponize your silence against a threat that is far more draining: the aggressive ignorance of fools. Rule number 2. When dealing with aggressive ignorance, have you ever encountered someone who is completely devoid of facts, yet speaks with the absolute, arrogant certainty of an expert? It is a deeply infuriating experience. Your mind immediately screams at you to correct them, to bring out the hard evidence, and to crush their illogical arguments with undeniable truth. Do not take the bait. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius bluntly reminded us that you have power over your own mind, not over the delusions of others. Arguing with a fool is not a display of intellect, it is a voluntary surrender of your peace. Think of Galileo, who understood the vast truths of the universe but was met with the violent, dogmatic ignorance of his era. His silence in the face of sheer stupidity was not a white flag, it was a supreme declaration of integrity. Truth does not need your desperate defense. It stands unbothered by the blindness of the masses. A Stoic once likened engaging with ignorance to wrestling a pig in the mud. Do not drag your refined intellect into the dirt to entertain a fool. When you respond to aggressive stupidity with pure, unyielding silence, You instantly strip them of the conflict they desperately crave. You leave them drowning in their own flawed logic, completely isolated. You are not holding back because you lack the facts to destroy their argument. You remain silent solely because you refuse to waste a single drop of your elite mental energy on a mind that is already dead. Let their ignorance echo in the void. After mastering your restraint against fools, you must prepare to weaponize your silence against a far more insidious attack, the venom of false rumors. Rule number 3, when targeted by false rumors. Hearing a fabricated story about yourself spreading like wildfire is deeply infuriating. When vicious gossip threatens your reputation, your overwhelming instinct is to aggressively clear your name. You want to shout the truth, track down the source, and beg the world to believe your side of the story. Destroy that panicked reaction immediately. Stoic philosophy teaches us that trying to control the whispers of the masses is a fool's errand. Marcus Aurelius stated that the best revenge is simply to be unlike him who performed the injury. When you rush to defend yourself against baseless rumors, you accidentally give them legitimacy. You feed the exact drama your enemies crave. By choosing absolute, impenetrable silence, you instantly cut off their oxygen supply. A venomous rumor simply cannot survive for long when it crashes against the cold, unyielding wall of your absolute indifference. A Stoic once likened malicious gossip to a toxic spreading fire. Do not fan the destructive flames with your frantic need to explain yourself to the unworthy. Your pristine character and your relentless actions are the ultimate defense. Just let the desperate mob talk. As time passes and the truth naturally surfaces, your dignified silence will make those who spread the lies look like absolute fools. You are not staying quiet because you are guilty or afraid of the allegations. You remain absolutely silent solely because you refuse to lower your regal stature, to negotiate with a pathetic, whispering mob that holds zero power over your actual reality. Starve their venomous lies with your unbreakable calm. After mastering your reputation through silence, you must prepare to face a more direct attack, the sting of unfair criticism. Rule number 4, under unfair criticism. Imagine pouring your absolute blood and elite focus into a major project, only to have a superior brutally tear it apart with unfounded negativity and biased critiques. Your pulse instantly spikes. Your fragile ego demands that you immediately defend your honor, aggressively justify your hard work, and point out their obvious flaws. Crush that defensive reflex. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that if someone criticizes you unfairly, it is merely a reflection of their own internal chaos, not a measurement of your actual competence. When you instinctively react, you surrender your frame. You hand them the absolute power to dictate your emotional state. Instead, deploy a cold, analytical silence. Look at them with unwavering eyes. Filter their words ruthlessly. If there is a grain of truth, extract it for your own personal growth. If it is pure toxicity, let it fall to the floor like dead weight. A Stoic once likened unjust criticism to a violent storm beating against a titanium vault. Do not open your doors to let the destructive wind tear through your inner sanctuary. Your calculated silence forces the critic to hear the unreasonable echoes of their own voice. It proves you are so deeply anchored in your self-worth that their trivial opinions cannot move you an inch. You are not holding your tongue out of fear or submission to their perceived authority. You remain completely silent solely because you refuse to lower your elite standards. To argue with someone who is currently too blind to recognize absolute quality. Let your relentless execution be your only reply. After fortifying your mind against unjust critiques, you must now forge an iron shield against a sudden, violent strike, the shock of a direct insult. Rule number 5. Blindsided by insults. Imagine you are in a high-stakes confrontation. Suddenly, they cross the line, dropping a malicious insult aimed right at your character. Your primal brain screams for blood. You feel the overwhelming urge to unleash a savage comeback, to publicly humiliate them and restore your ego. Kill that impulse. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus laid down a brutal truth: if someone succeeds in provoking you, your own mind is complicit. When you fire back, you step directly into their dirty arena. You validate their disrespect by showing them their pathetic words actually pierced your armor. Instead, hit them with your most terrifying weapon: absolute, unbroken silence. Look them dead in the eye with a cold, calculating gaze. Let the heavy, suffocating pause stretch out until it becomes unbearable. By refusing to flinch, you become a psychological mirror. Their toxic words bounce off your iron frame, exposing their lack of control and making them look small and unhinged. A Stoic once likened a verbal insult to a poisoned arrow. Do not voluntarily step into its path when you can let it fall harmlessly to the ground. Your silence proves their opinion holds zero jurisdiction in your reality. You diminish their existence without uttering a single syllable. You are not speechless. You remain silent solely because a king does not step off his throne to brawl with a peasant. Let their disrespect choke them in the silence. After mastering your outward reaction to disrespect, you must now conquer the deadliest enemy of all, the internal storm of your own anger. Rule number 6. Swept by the storm of anger. Imagine a moment where sheer incompetence or a blatant betrayal cost you heavily. Your blood instantly boils. The primal instinct is to detonate, to unleash verbal destruction, and scorch the earth just to make them feel your wrath. Lock that impulse down immediately. Marcus Aurelius issued a timeless warning: the consequences of anger are always vastly more destructive than the event that triggered it. When you speak in blind rage, you are not projecting power, you are entirely out of control. You become a helpless slave to your adrenaline, handing over your psychological sovereignty to the person who provoked you. Instead, deploy a brutal, suffocating silence. Do not utter a single syllable while the toxic poison pumps through your veins. Take a deliberate step back. Observe the chaos with cold, clinical detachment. A Stoic once likened unchecked anger to a wild beast. Do not open the cage and let it devour your elite reputation. Your silence is a tactical pause. It starves the fire of its oxygen. By forcing yourself into complete quiet, you transform raw rage into cold, calculated execution. You let the offender sweat in the agonizing silence, terrified of your unpredictable restraint. You are not weak. You refuse to let temporary rage destroy your empire. Starve the fire and let the ash settle. Having conquered the destructive storm of your own rage, you must now face the ultimate test of your Stoic fortress, confronting absolute injustice and devastating loss. Rule number 7. Confronting absolute injustice and devastating loss. This is the ultimate test of your Stoic fortress. Imagine life striking you with a catastrophic blow, a profound personal loss, or an unforgivable injustice that strips away everything you have built. Admiral James Stockdale faced 7 years of brutal torture as a prisoner of war, relying entirely on Stoic philosophy. He weaponized his silent endurance to forge unbreakable internal resilience and completely outlast his captors. When tragedy or massive unfairness hits, your shattered ego begs you to scream at the universe, to play the loud, eternal victim, and to let your grief completely drown your rational mind. Refuse that destructive path. Seneca taught that suffering is an inescapable part of the natural order. By wrapping yourself in absolute silence, you are not surrendering to the pain. You are giving yourself the necessary space to absorb the shock, process the trauma, and rebuild your empire from the ashes. A Stoic once likened profound grief to a crushing winter. Do not waste your breath cursing the cold when you must silently build a fire. Your silence becomes a sacred, impenetrable sanctuary where true healing and evolution occur. It allows you to transform deep, paralyzing agony into an unshakable, quiet power, refusing to let external circumstances dictate your internal character. You are not broken. You use silence to forge armor out of ashes. Let your Stoic resilience outlast the tragedy. Having mastered the profound art of silence across these 7 brutal battlegrounds, you now possess the ultimate blueprint to absolute self-mastery and emotional dominance. Silence is not merely an absence of speech, it is the terrifying presence of absolute, unshakable control. You live in a fragile world completely desperate for attention, where weak individuals constantly bleed their power through meaningless noise and impulsive reactions. By mastering these 7 stoic battlegrounds, you have forged a titanium mind. You no longer react to the chaos, you dictate the reality. The great emperor Marcus Aurelius commanded us to stop wasting time arguing about what a strong man should be, and simply be one. Let your relentless actions thunder, while your mouth remains perfectly closed. If this philosophy of brutal self-mastery resonates with you, do not just consume this video and scroll away. Prove your dedication to the path. Hit the like button right now to signal your commitment to stoic dominance. Subscribe to the channel to join an elite circle of individuals who value true power, discipline, and emotional sovereignty. Drop a comment below with the word silence to mark the foundation of your new, unbreakable fortress. Stay cold, stay quiet, in absolute silence.